Welcome to Goldtown Bank. I offer exchanges from gold grams to currency. I also offer loans for land. Who wants to make me a millionaire?
Definitely, Cassandra and I love Roots and Wings, and the reason we came here was because she needs, in my opinion, a smaller setting and also an experiential type of learning.
That Expeditionary Learning is really a national organization, and that Roots and Wings, as a charter school, has chosen to join a national network of schools that are interested in a more engaging way of teaching and learning.
I think that it's cool how we do the expeditions. Like, we're starting on one specific thing instead of like in other schools where you have to learn a whole bunch of different things. I think this is a better way to learn.
6 years ago, it was the only expeditionary learning school we had. Right now, we have 4 others throughout the state. I understand there's a private school as well. And so it's interesting to see how one small school can really start making an impact, not only on the charter school movement, but in the entire public education system in New Mexico.
Roots and Wings has been able to disseminate their ideas and their experiences in innovation by providing workshops for teachers around the state, and also by influencing the development of the first high school in Taos County that will be an expeditionary learning school.
In recent years, Roots and Wings curriculum has won first-place honors statewide among public middle schools and has been praised by external evaluators as a school that is demonstrating true innovation and excellence in education. Academic standards are presented in ways that are naturally engaging to kids through challenging projects and integrated themes that bring excitement and meaning to learning. Curriculum is taught in 9-week learning expeditions. These semester-long units are designed by the teachers around themes that are inherently interesting to students, such as the mysteries of the human body, ancient civilizations, or Kit Carson on trial in the American West. Each learning expedition integrates standards and practices from all core subjects into a meaningful, adventurous inquiry that challenges mind, spirit, and body. In this film, Roots and Wings is pleased to share our best practices in math instruction. Through our experience, we have identified 5 obstacles that are causes of poor math performance among students. Math is boring. Math makes little sense. Teachers don't care what I think is important about math. Math is isolated. People don't use it. Math tests just make me feel bad. They don't help me learn. One problem many instructors face is the prevailing attitude that math is boring.
So at Roots and Wings, we try to develop compelling questions, compelling curriculum. We try to have students do projects that mean something, may not even know that they're studying math or science or language arts. Rather, they're on an adventure of the heart, the mind, the body, and going towards some performance at the end that really matters.
I'm the sawmill operator. When people want to build a building, they come to me. All these buildings were built with wood from my sawmill. So Calvin, I understand you want to build a shop. What kind of shop would you like to build?
I'd like to build a blacksmith shop.
Okay, you're going to need enough wood to build something like the land claims office. So you're going to need, let's see, 1,200 board feet about, and penny per board foot, that would be $12. So when you're ready, I'll show you how to assemble your building and measure it to square feet.
Okay, thank you.
A motivated, excited child is a learning child.
My favorite things at being at the school is probably the mathematic games. They're really inspiring and fun.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then they're gonna roll.
I'm relating Cassandra's past work in previous schools to you open a textbook and there's the problem. And it's just, did you get to the right answer or not? It doesn't really foster a long-term learning plan.
If you can get students engaged in a story, the rest of it is simply unfolding whatever you have planned.
Autumn has always had problems with math, and since coming to Roots and Wings, I have definitely seen her growth, and I attribute that growth to math becoming more tangible, more real. It's tied into the real world.
I was asking my children about this because, believe it or not, they actually come home and they talk about math, and you know, they're excited about their learning and how they learn it.
It wasn't just that she could write down an easy math problem with some numbers and get to the end. It really had to be a thought process through how am I going to get to how much coffee do I need for 6 weeks. And that has carried over, as I mentioned, when we go shopping or even with how much allowance she has and does she want to go to the movies this weekend.
Instead of you're just going to do these problems, they don't relate. The math problems, the math homework relates to what's going on, whether you're studying the river and the amount of pollution.
Kids learn math better when their imagination is engaged and they are immersed in the work.
She has to sit and reason through it, and I would credit this program, the math program, with that.
Another problem students face is making sense of math.
So you're now becoming a detective, a sleuth, and when you're done with this, you're going to be able to tell us what's happening with oil in the world. Important question, you think, Charles? What's happening with oil? Does it matter? It says U.S. oil supply and demand millions of barrels per day. That's amazing. That means that right now, in the year 2000, we use 20 million barrels of oil. Do you know how big a barrel is?
It's not all work in Gold Town. Sometimes we gamble.
No! I think it's easier to learn through these math games because it's put into an easier concept. It's a way that you can understand it better. Like it's put into a way where you can be interested in it, and like it really gets your mind working. It's not like just like 6 + 6 or something like that. It's not just like doing textbook math.
We've moved from playing a game, you know, or we say, hey, this is a game that we play and here's how it functions, to, God, now we're moving into something this is real life stuff. You guys are going to start on a project where you get to decide what you're going to study. The things that are happening in our world are so profound. Nothing has ever looked like this in the history of time mathematically. And you guys are going to get a chance to see what that looks like.
I know that when I had math in grade school, I enjoyed it. I was reasonably good at it, but it was a pure abstraction.
So my question is this: what's the story?
Mine tells you what it's for. It's like the red one was for classes work.
And he really knows what he learns now, and this is where I think the embodiment part is terribly important.
Math needs to be taught in a way that makes sense to students.
You can stuff their head full of facts, but if they haven't lived life, it's all hearsay.
Many math teachers limit the learning process by their sole control of the classroom.
They learn according to their strengths, they learn according to their interests, they learn according to their style preferences, they're learning according to the best modalities for them. Because they're involved in questions that have become important to them, they are learning what they need to learn, what the school would like them to learn, and they are truly constructing their own knowledge in this experience.
And what our role is as teachers is to say, okay, I'm responsible for teaching this content. How can I make it compelling for students to learn? What is it that's going to get them interested in what it is that I'm responsible for teaching them? Figure out the ways in which we can have students actively, personally involved in the learning so that they see the results of that and they see the benefit again beyond the classroom and the application of the skill and knowledge that we're trying to teach them.
We can help you with the categories. If you tell us an area where you'd like to improve, then we can work on the categories. But I love that we're all part of helping kids learn something that they want to learn. And that's what I really like about Math Menu, because they get to choose, and then if they want to move to a different area of Math Menu because they feel like they've had enough with fractions, they can move to a different group in a different area.
Now I can do my multiplication up to 12. I can do higher division and exponents and stuff like that from playing the games and personal goal setting type things.
With the different levels of grades, the 5th to 8th grade students, special ed to gifted, all in the same classroom. If you look at a hunter-gatherer band, certainly the oldest structure of human relationships, you would have the grandfather working with a very young person, and whether it's teaching them how to hunt or something else.
I think something that really helped with Co is that you got to really ask for help from your friends. The other kids, they might have a different way of explaining it. Like the teacher might be like, you do this and this, and the kid might be like, you have 2 bunny rabbits and 2 ducks. And the bunny rabbits weigh this much and the ducks weigh this much, but the bunny rabbits are from France.
I'm more patient with math now instead of freaking out on it.
And the teachers have been masterful at making sure that each of the students stays engaged in the learning process and contributes back as part of what they do. So that the perspective of all of these children creates a collective learning environment where the learning styles of the individual children are celebrated and are used rather than merely tolerated.
Students become more involved when their choices matter. Conventionally, math is taught for its own sake and is often unrelated to other subjects and real life.
Right now, it's not just teaching us how to use it in the real life, we're using it in real life.
So one of the really cool parts that I think about Roots and Wings and the style of learning here is that every aspect from science, math, reading, writing, all came together and got snuck in as one big ball of learning experience where the kids don't even realize that they're learning what they're learning until afterwards it's all over and they have this wealth of knowledge.
So when they're in the field, they're just not having the experience itself, but they are also studying science. They're doing math, they're studying history, and they're also working on social studies issues while they are in the field or on a wilderness trip. That reinforces then the academic core curriculum that is existing in most classrooms.
Our social studies teacher represents a theme perhaps from history. Our language arts teacher brings in literacy to the curriculum. Arts and technology are interwoven into a theme. It's a fun and collaborative thing. Teachers from all other disciplines come into the math classroom and math spills out and over into the other subject.
We work together as a team to design our curriculum or design the themes that we're going to be working with, and then each teacher then takes their area of specialty and runs with that.
For example, one of the early expeditions that Roots and Wings did was on the forest thinning project. Right after the Los Alamos fire, the National Forest Service wanted to come in and do a thinning project in Carson National Forest. And so the students studied from different perspectives what that forest thinning result would be. And they took on the perspective of a logger. They took on the perspective of a landowner within that particular region. But they also took on the perspective of a conservationist or a preservationist or even of an animal living in that area. And they wrote persuasive papers. So they had to study science, but they also had to study language arts, the writing skills, interviewing skills, research skills, and they put all of these together. And when the Forest Service had a public hearing about the forest thinning project, the students attended that and they stood up and expressed their views. And the Forest Service was really enthralled with the idea that these middle school students had so much knowledge, but also had the ability to participate in a public forum that had interest and benefit again to the entire community.
Like all these skills that we're learning, I mean, research gathering, writing, language, math, science, all of that.
Because there's so much abstract vocabulary in math that then doesn't get distinctly taught by the math teacher because he has so many other things to do, is to work with a math teacher to take that vocabulary, bring it into my classroom, the language arts classroom, have the kids learn it and understand it, define it, and then be able to have them give it back to Scott so Scott doesn't have to worry about them understanding what he's talking about. And I feel like that's overlooked sometimes. I think that's a really important component or a way to integrate language arts and math.
Math becomes more alive when it is woven into the world around us. Current assessment practices measure students, but often do little to promote actual student learning.
So often, schools, under pressure from AYP, from No Child Left Behind, from state guidelines, so often these schools teach as if it's some sort of race to get down to the end, rather than realizing it's a journey of the mind, the heart, the body. How do kids learn best? What inspires them? What causes test performances to be raised? It's not just doing well on tests. Studying for tests does not equal test performance gain. Being engaged and being motivated, having learning means something to them.
While schools must meet mandated testing requirements, Roots and Wings has involved students in assessing their own learning in two important ways. One is public exhibitions, and the second is asking students for reflection on their own learning.
National average AC.
I consider myself good at math, so I thought I would know a whole bunch, but really didn't.
I realized that there's a lot of math terms that I had never even heard about.
What you guys are doing is you're creating a rubric for yourselves, right? You're saying this is what an excellent graph looks like.
At the end of the westward expansion expedition was the Chautauqua presentation, and she practiced her lines every day and practiced her singing every day. And she's like, "Watch me, Mom, watch me. Give me feedback."
Well, creating this for an audience, it makes me want to do better.
In terms of growth, she is very proud of the work that she does. She knows that it's quality work. So she shares it with me more often. I hear reports about what's going on at school, and this is what we learned today. And her attitude is, I want to go to school.
Students respond to assessments that lead to learning and help establish positive next steps.
Many students are unplugged from education. Many students do not consider it valuable. They're not interested. They find it boring. They have no meaning, especially in math. Math is taught in a disconnected, content-free way, pure math. Learning division for the sake of learning division. At Roots and Wings, we try to incorporate math into the rest of reality. We have math involved in projects. We have math involved in painting. We have math involved in language arts. We do these projects in order for the student to be passionate about learning.
So Cassandra got to do the living history drama presentation, which she became Kathy Williams and studied Kathy Williams and actually immersed herself in that character. And then it culminated in the performance that Roots and Wings did about westward expansion, where all the kids got to perform their characters. And so not only was she learning about her character, she was learning directly from everybody else. And it was culturally diverse. It was all different aspects. It was a wonderful experience for her.
And that's what we need to look at, what works for students to help them succeed.
They give them responsibility for their own actions, which we lack so much in this country.
And it blows me away how much she has grown. And she really thinks about problems. She's more thoughtful about problems that she faces. It's not a quick answer. She's always had a really positive attitude, but she has a more positive attitude about community and being a part of a bigger picture.
No, he says that he likes the trips a lot. The expeditions, you guys go out and do your camping, and before he used to be really afraid of being in the dark and this and that, and I think his solo last year, he did really well with that, and he's coming along pretty good.
For a teacher who was considering doing this, is that's what makes the job interesting in the first place. It does not take a great deal of complexity as far as a book to get started with, Doris Lawson's book. And none of it's been expensive. It's all been handmade, done by parents.
I could see that she was excited and she wanted to just do her best and show her best and shine.